I'm not sure there was ever a golden age of anti-racism. When I was growing up in the late 60s and 70s in East London, it was incredibly racist, and you just had to look at the TV to see the kind of programmes that were on, Love Thy Neighbour and all of that, the use of language at that time. Actually, I think the general population is getting less and less racist. I think the institutions are becoming, consolidating their racism even more. But actually, growing up in Lewisham, I would say, you know, in '77 you had the fascists marching on the streets and stuff like that, but that's just a side point. The other point I wanted to say was, when I heard that they were going to reintroduce these stop and search laws, I thought it was a joke, because when did they ever go away? You know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, they've always existed. You know, I was stopped and searched a whole load of times when I was younger and when I had a car driving around London. And the whole fact about accountability, I think they actually hide the true figures that exist, because most of the times people are stopped, they're not given a receipt. They don't know that they can ask for a receipt, and the police don't give them a receipt. So there's all of this hidden figures going on there of people being stopped and searched. It's never gone away. It still exists, and people are stopped and searched vastly outnumbered than the figures that are presented. You know, and the figures in London, in Birmingham, in Manchester, and to a certain extent, will have black and ethnic minorities overrepresented. But also, if you go to the North East, I'm sure white working class people are going to be stopped a hell of a lot. Like you say, the whole issue of young people being on the streets, because, you know, in Tower Hamlets, where I'm from as well, there's the whole issue of overcrowding. Young people can't be at home. They have to go out on the streets. In fact, a lot of them do hang out in my block. So there's all these other issues going on for young people. The other point I wanted to make was, actually, who asked me as a Londoner whether I think stop and search is going to deal with the whole issue of, you know, the so-called terrorist threat? You know, who even asked me as a Londoner about whether we should have shoot-to-kill policies to deal with terrorism? Nobody asked you that. You know, and the first speaker kind of spoke very eloquently about this great divide that he kind of straddles, being a black police officer, and actually we've got to just put up with stop and search for the time being. But nobody asked the general population whether we think this is a good idea or whether this is effective. And actually, I think most people would say no. But I'm encouraged that everyone is saying on the platform that we should do something, that we should mobilise the youth, and that's partly why, well, it's the main reason why I've joined Respect, and I'm active in Respect.